Second Exodus. We had been talking about Exodus. Last week we did about 7. It was the 7th video. Last week message was the 7th video. This tends to follow or a follow-up of the last week video. In that last week video, I did mention, in fact, I asked us to read the book of Exodus, the book of Leviticus, even the book of Numbers. I don't know how many of us looked at those books. The book of Leviticus, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, because they are, I pointed out what we must guide against in these last days. There may be trials, not that there may be trials, not that Yahweh is going to try us, but our character is going to bring those trials. We are going to test Yahweh, and Yahweh is going to test us. The scriptures, the Torah told us that when Israelites were coming out from Egypt, they tested Yahweh in the wilderness. By virtue of their behavior, by virtue of they not keeping to Yahweh's instructions, keeping to Yahweh's commandments. People, anytime we mention keeping commandments, keeping instruction, obeying the law, somebody's ears will tingle, somebody's heart will jump, somebody will stand up and query you. What are you talking about? We are in the days of grace. We are in the time of grace. Why are you talking about obeying the law? This is where deception of Satan comes in. Satan tells such individual, argue and contend the law. Tell your teacher or your pastor the law has been abrogated. The law has been cancelled. The law is written off. What is now reigning and everywhere is grace. Have faith in him, then he will shower you grace and you will enter the kingdom. How will you enter the kingdom without obedience? How will you enter in the kingdom without listening to his voice? He said, Israel, listen to my voice and keep my covenant. Then you become peculiar. Yahweh can never change. His word can never change. Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 and 6. Said Israelite, you are my firstborn. You are my first fruit. How can you be his firstborn, his first fruit? How can you be the choice of Yahweh? Amos chapter 3, 1 to 3. How can you be his choice? How can you be his peculiar child, his chosen children? When you are saying to him, his voice can never be heard. You cannot hear his voice again because his voice is commandment. His voice is his law. His voice is his instruction. His voice is the Torah, the covenant. He made with Israelites is packaged. That's where the voice and everything is packaged, the agreement. If you say you will not keep to the agreement, how will he love you? How will he now say, welcome, you obedient servant? Because at the end of the day, he is looking for the obedient people. How are you obedient when you are rebellious? How are you obedient when you are not listening to his voice? How do you count yourself righteous when you, how can in a family, you have father and mother who tells you to do something, you say, oh, Father, I cannot do it because my command or my law or my rule or my instruction supersedes your own. They will drive you away from the house. They will sack you. You no longer be the child. So if we literally, as people literally today have withdrawn from the Yahweh, withdrawn from his commandment, how will they enter the kingdom? How will they be saved? Let the person who is opening his mouth and saying the law is cancelled. What is law? Torah. What is Torah? The first 5 books in the Bible. He said, read it, listen to it. Revelation. Yeshua said told us, reminded us what we must do. Because what he spoke, what he says from his mouth is his prophecy, is his word. His prophecies are the things that he spoke out of Torah, out of the word, out of the instruction, out of the commandments. Do them. Revelation chapter 1 verse 3. Blessed is he who reads, and those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written in it, for the time is near. Just as he said in Exodus, Exodus chapter 19, verse 5 and 6 there, that the only way you can belong to him, you can become a child, a peculiar child, a holy child, the honored child, a chosen child, a royal priesthood, a beautiful, fantastic son and daughter. The only way you can become heard is when you hear his voice, keep his voice, keep his commandment, do them, keep the covenant. That is how to belong to Yahweh. That is how to get righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 25. That is how you get righteousness, by obedience. Then he said, oh, don't worry. Faith. Just have faith. Believe in him that Yahweh raised him from the dead, and he will give you grace, empower you, and you will be jettisoned into heaven. When they are talking about rapture into heaven, Yahweh never promised them rapture. They are in trouble. Those who are believing lies, the deception of Satan, are in trouble. Now, this day, what are we talking about? We are talking about what will happen in the wilderness as Yahweh, when Yahshua will be coming to rescue his people and restore them back to the land, keep them as this trouble of the world that is, exemplified everywhere. Signs of it is everywhere. It's written every nook and corner. You can literally smell it. You can touch it. The trouble that is coming. Then, when it's time for you to escape, to run away, because Yeshua said, watch and pray, because the time is coming. When all these things will ensue all over the world, so that you can escape and run to him, for him to regather you, restore you back to the land. How will you go back to that land when you are not obedient? How? Because say the key is, look at Revelation again. Look at Revelation again. Verse 14. Revelation chapter 14, Revelation chapter 14, he made a statement. In fact, all the way from verse 6, 7, 8, 9, then when he got to 9, look at what he said there. Revelation chapter 9, from 14 there, look at what he said. If anyone has, I'm reading a different place. Verse 9 said, then a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives his mark on his forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark of his name. Anybody who does not love the law of Yahweh, the instruction of Yahweh, the commandments of Yahweh, is bound to worship the beast. No two ways about it. In fact, worship of the beast begins on the fourth commandment, which is Sabbath. Anybody who exempts himself from worship of Yahweh on the Sabbath day is bound to serve the beast or to be killed by the beast. Because Hebrews chapter 4, that was what instruction he gave to the fathers. The fathers rejected it. So Yahweh swore in the wilderness that all those who rejected his instruction, none of them will test his kingdom. And that was what happened. They were sealed of the kingdom. And he warned even this age that if you will not participate, if you will not keep his Sabbath, the person will be missing in his kingdom. And here he's talking about those who worship the image of the beast. What day do they worship? This worship is talking about, because when you look at the same Revelation chapter 14 verse 7, it says, saying with a loud voice, fear Yahweh and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea and springs of water. That is talking about Genesis chapter 2 verses 2 and 3, where Yahweh rested. Then in Exodus chapter 20 verse 8 to 11, he commands all his people to worship him. What day? The same Sabbath day. Now here, Yeshua himself, who gave this revelation to John to give to his assembly, to his saints, says, do not worship and worship wrongly. The day appointed, we worship Yahweh every day, but there is a day he appointed, to which he's talking about here, because Yahweh is showcasing his judgment. He's going to judge people based on his instruction, based on Torah, based on what he commanded from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. That is the Torah. That is the law. He's going to judge based on that. So what did he ask us to do in the Torah? Keep the Sabbath. All of the prophets spoke about this. Isaiah 50, I think Isaiah 56 sounded, when he talked about those who will enter the kingdom, he stated clearly, anybody who is not keeping the Sabbath, anybody who is not keeping his covenant, obeying it, will never enter there. Here, he's repeating and calling us. And in that verse 14, 7, and 9, 10, and 11, he is now saying, these people who refuse to worship Yahweh will worship the beast. There's no two ways about it. It's either you choose to worship Yahweh and escape, or you worship the beast in his own day, the first day, Sunday, that the beast created. You see, this day, every day is okay. Any day you worship him. All days are days of worship. Some people say even they worship every day, or they keep all the whole days holy. Look, Yahweh appointed a particular day for a reason. He said that day is a day of Shabbat day, seventh day is sign. It's a sign that suppose that he is the superior, he is the rock, he is the creator, he is the maker of heaven and earth and everything that are in them all, including you and I. He is the one that is the one, because there is adversary, the opposer, the one that is saying that Yahweh is not there, that he is the one and he's taking charge. Therefore, he is the one that created everything and made everything and asked everybody to bow to him. And he has a sign. That day is even the first day, Sunday. That is the day he chose for himself. Hebrews chapter 4, 1 to 11 says, anybody who will not fall in line to obey Yahweh and worship him, even on this Sabbath day, will perish, will not enter the kingdom. Now, listen again, verse 12 in Revelation chapter 14. Now, from 9, 10, 11, he has specified that the disobedient, those who are disobedient, will not enter into the kingdom. They will perish. Now, what about verse 12? It said, here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who follow the covenant way. Here is for those who follow Yahweh's instruction, who are patient, who keep, even who walk that narrow way. Here is for what he has for them. Here are those who keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yeshua. What he's saying is they are blessed, these people. They are blessed. They are the people that are going to eat the tree of life in the kingdom. Revelation chapter 22, verse 14. Listen to him. Blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through the gates into the city. They are the obedient people. They are the commandment keepers. They are those who hear his voice and do them. Don't continue to live in deception, in disbelief, in the instruction of Satan. Satan is telling you, don't listen, don't obey. You are a goner. Let's go to what we have this morning. Why many Israelites could not enter the promised land. Because I ask you to search out Numbers, Exodus, Leviticus, for you to know what transpired in the wilderness. For you to know why many of them never entered. Millions of them died in the wilderness. Millions of Israelites. They were in the wilderness for 40 years. Even in the 40 years, they produced children. Bible said those children they produced in the wilderness 40 years and going forward were the people that entered the land, not the fathers. Only two that were born in Egypt entered the land with those that were born in the wilderness. Only two. Only that is the elders born in Egypt. All other elders, particularly from 20 years old and above, they all perished in the wilderness. They all perished. So something happened. Why did they perish? Quickly. Numbers 14:22. When Israel refused to enter the promised land after hearing the report of the 10 faithless spies in Numbers 13:31 to 33, they wanted to choose new leaders to take them back to Egypt. Leader. You see, those that Yahweh appointed, Yahweh hates Yahweh. Satan and his cohorts, his agent, hate Yahweh. They hate Yeshua, his messenger, his servant, his branch, his word, the Savior he appointed, the word that was manifested into Son, his firstborn Son, Yeshua. Those who Yahweh called to listen to him, they hate him. And also they hate the leaders, human leaders that Yahweh appointed to teach them, to guide them in this truth. They will always want to come and subvert to what they are teaching or even leading them. You don't need us again. We don't need you. Listen carefully this morning. Listen carefully. Numbers 31 to 33. Yahweh spoke about these Israelites, these people. They are all over the world. The same Israelites scattered all over the world. They are still there. They are still doing the same thing. Now, Yahweh identified 10 times they rebelled against him. 10 times they showed faithlessness. And these are the spies. Numbers 31 to 33 identified that those that Moses sent to go and spy the land came out with fake news. Fake news in the sense that they were unbelieving. They were faithless. They never believed in Yahweh. You see, in our call as covenant people, our faith, our trust, our confidence is on Yahweh, not on man, not on even the leader. Because the leader is just a messenger. Yahweh is using him. It's a go-between. It's a mediator between the human beings and Yahweh. So Yahweh passes his message because we cannot see Yahweh and live. Therefore, Yahweh speaks through that human leader to speak to us. When the 10 Commandments was being given, when they were listening in Exodus chapter 19, at a point, the people said, no, Moses, we cannot continue to listen to you. Listen to the Father, listen to Yahweh, and give us feedback. Exodus 19 and 20, Yahweh said to Moses, listen to them. Allow them to go. Because what they were hearing was thunder. The voice of Yahweh was rending the air like thunder. Lightning was flashing everywhere. The land they stood was shaken, earthquake. It was not just cloudy, it was thick darkness around them, and they were afraid. They got frightened. That is who we serve. Cannot mess up before him. Cannot hold his word with a pinch of salt. You cannot, do whatever you like. He is a jealous Yahweh. He will ask you what you are doing. And by the time he'll be asking you, you can't stand him. So these people, they wanted to choose new leaders to take them back to Egypt. Numbers 14, 1-4. At this rebellion, Yahweh was going to strike the entire nation down and start a new nation through Moses. Numbers 14, 5-12. It was only through Moses pleading with Yahweh for mercy that the people were not destroyed. Numbers 14, 13-20. Why I'm mentioning the Bible passages, check it out yourself. It's not my word. It's the word of Yahweh. When I'm speaking to you, I'm quoting Bible. At times you think I'm wasting my time quoting Bible. Don't be lazy. Open your Bible. Read through is the word of your Father. Because that is who is speaking to us. This is instruction we follow, not instruction of man or the babbling of man. No. That is why these quotations are important. Check them out. Why Moses' entreaty saved the Israelites from total destruction. That is, Moses pleaded. Moses begged Yahweh to spare them. Why that was going on? It did not save them from Yahweh's judgment. Yahweh still judged them. Why Yahweh didn't cut them off immediately? The judgment remained because every sin has to be repaired in one way or the other. In Numbers 14, 21-23, Yahweh declared, but truly, as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put me to the test. Remember, I mentioned it before. Human beings test Yahweh. They try Yahweh. Now, and these people who has tried him 10 times and have not obeyed his voice, what did he say? They shall see the land, shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers. That is, those who disobey Yahweh, at the end of the day, they did whatever they like. The land that Yahweh declared to give them, for instance, Moses saw the land, but he didn't enter there. So this set of people will not smell it. It's like Yahweh saying in Hebrews chapter 4, all those that rejected Sabbath, they will not enter the land. Yahweh said he swore. So the same thing he did in the wilderness here, all the people that are rebelling against his law, they will not make it to the land. And those elderly ones that were born in Egypt, that were 20 years and above, they never made it. All the elderly ones, all the old guys, in as much as they joined or partook in one way or the other. There's a warning here. We must be careful whether as individual or when we are 2 or 3, what we speak against Yahweh, against Yeshua, his son, and against anyone he sends to carry his banner, to carry his message, to carry his word, to carry his mission. Anyone. You must be very careful. We must be very, very careful. What happened in the wilderness is an eye-opener. It's supposed to teach us sense. Because if our father failed, and all this is we are written for us to learn and follow the examples, the good examples. And at the end of the day, we are still falling, committing the same iniquity, the same sin our fathers committed. To be a sorry story. Be a very, very terrible sorry story. Because everything was laid before us, and yet we continue to walk on our own ways, or behave on our own ways. Yahweh says it's not going to spare such people. Let me repeat that message, Numbers 14, 21 to 23. But truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put me to the test these 10 times, and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to. Shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers. You didn't catch, you didn't listen. But truly, as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh, none. That is where the language or the grammar starts. None of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put me to the test these 10 times and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers, and none of those who despise me shall see it. So that none there catches all the statement he was making. It aligns with even the last statement he made there. So the same thing, this statement he made in Numbers chapter 14, 21 to 23 is the statement he made in Hebrews chapter 4, 1 to 11. The same thing. The same thing. And Sabbath, particularly in Hebrews 4, talk about Sabbath. Exodus 31, 13 to 13, 14, 15, talk about Sabbath. And the 10 Commandments, Exodus chapter 20, 8 to 11, talk about Sabbath. Anybody that plays with it is looking for fire, looking for trouble. No adult Israelites who departed Egypt in the Exodus would be allowed to enter the promised land. That was what Yahweh said to them. At first glance, this seems like a particularly harsh punishment. However, Yahweh was not judging the Israelites only for lacking the faith to enter the promised land. The Israelites had previously tested, underline, tested Yahweh on 10 separate occasions. We are going to look at it briefly. It was the cumulative effect of all those incidents that led Yahweh to pronounce this judgment on the Israelites. If it were just one of us, some kind of, they didn't know, they were, Yahweh watched them, corrected them, watched them, corrected them, but he saw that they were incorrigible. 10 times, and Yahweh drew the line, the red line. And even after Yahweh drew the red line, do you know, after these 10 times incidences of rebellion, the same people continued. Even when Yahweh called Moses, said, these people have provoked me, tested me, and showed faithlessness. Said, he's going to cut them off. Even after that, the people did the worst. They did the worst. Brethren, what we are speaking about here is more than what word can express. It's unfortunate. Human beings are human beings. But there are those that are making effort and saying, we are not going to live in flesh. We are not going to behave like those who hear and do nothing on what they hear. They are going to change. They are going to adjust. What does it take us to adjust? What does it take us to change? Obey. Simply obey. Ask for his grace. Flesh will not allow you. Satan will not allow you. The world will not allow you. Even friends will not allow you. Even family members will not allow you. Whatever that is around you will not allow you. Pray that grace comes from heaven. Grace comes from Yahweh. The spirit of Yahweh will be handy for you to do the right thing, for you to obey. Because it's all about the grace which is in the spirit. The fruits of the spirit. That is what empowers us to obey and to keep the law. What were the 10 times Israelites tested Yahweh? What were those 10 times? Number 1, they lacked faith before they crossed the Red Sea. Exodus 14:11-12. Maybe we'll read a bit of all those to showcase how, because Yahweh was numbering the steps that we are taking. We think when we are talking or when we are behaving or when we are doing anything, Yahweh is not taking record. Wherever you are, when you are sleeping, he's there with you. Remember, Yahweh is in us. I mentioned it this morning. The breath you are breathing in and breathing out, that shows you have life. Who owns that life? Is Yahweh. So Yahweh is dwelling in you. And his spirit, no computer is like the spirit of Yahweh that is inside us. Takes record of all that transpires. Day in, day out. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the night, midnight. When you wake up at dawn, the record of the spirit is working out and passing all the information to the owner of our lives. So we think it's not seen, it doesn't know, it doesn't hear, it doesn't understand what you are doing. One will be making mistake thinking that way. Listen, Exodus 14, verse 11. Exodus 14:11. Then they said to Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? That's a stab on Yahweh. Because they think they were talking to Moses, but they were talking to Yahweh. Because it's Yahweh that brought them out. It wasn't Moses. Brethren, let us understand what is going on. Moses was used as a mediator to speak to them. It's not Moses. It's all about, even when Yeshua came, Yeshua said it's not him. It's about the Father. It's all about the Father. Why have you so dealt with us to bring us up out of Egypt? Look at the people that Yahweh was saving. See, Egypt was fantastic. Why did you bring us out? To die in this wilderness, to die facing the Red Sea. Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians, for it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. This is confrontation against, they thought it was against Moses. They were giving it back to Moses, but Yahweh says it's him that we are talking to. Now, that is number one. Number two, they were complaining over the bitter water at Marah. They were thirsty. They were crying, Moses, 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 Moses. Let's read what happened. Exodus 15, verse 24. Exodus 15, 24. Exodus 15, 24. And the people complained against Moses. You see, against Moses again. That man suffered for them. saying, what shall we drink? So he cried out to Yahweh. Who cried? Moses, always going back to Yahweh, because it's Yahweh that sent him. And Yahweh showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were made sweet. There he made a statute and an ordinance for them, and there he tested them and said, if you diligently listen to Yahweh in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you which I have brought on the Egyptians, for I am Yahweh who heals you. So the people misdirected their request. They brought vengeance, they brought anger against Moses. Was Moses the problem? Was Moses the cause? Was even Yahweh the cause? No. They were impatient, they were not listening, they were not heeding to the commandments of Yahweh. That anytime they need anything, they will go to Yahweh. Then Moses is the mediator. Why not call Moses? Moses, oh, look at the situation. Look at the lift prayer to Yahweh to sort this out for us. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. And Yahweh will act. Yahweh will do it for them. That's what he wants us to be doing. That's what we must learn now. Because these things will come up again. Say by tomorrow, or in this our time, any moment, Yahweh say, oh, it's time for you to go back home. What will you do on the way? How will you? All these are given to us so that it will prepare our mind and give us sense how we will act, how we will behave. Now, there was complaining in the desert of sin, the desert of sin. What happened there? Exodus chapter 16, verse 3. Let us hear again what happened. Let's read from verse 1. And they journeyed from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complaining against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness, complaining. Yahweh hates complaining. Yahweh hates Yahweh hates with provocation, with anger. Yahweh hates it if you do not channel or say it as a request. Pass it through the appropriate channel, appropriate medium. And Yahweh's anointed, Yahweh's servant. Yahweh will hold the person responsible. Verse 3. And the children of Israel said to them, oh, that we had died by the land. It's always they dying in Egypt. This is people that Yahweh didn't want to die. He didn't want them to suffer or continue to have the perilous times in Egypt. He wanted them to be saved. But they keep on reminding Yahweh that they should have died in Egypt. Well, Yahweh said, don't worry, you choose to die in Egypt. I rescued you. I didn't want you, but you perish in the wilderness. You will not make it. What people speak from their mouth is what they get. What people speak out is what they receive. Oh, that we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt when we sat by the pots of meat, and when we ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to kill us, to kill this whole assembly with hunger. Verse 4. Then Yahweh said to Moses, behold, I will rain. Yahweh was not chastising them here now, but Yahweh has taken note of their faithlessness. He didn't pray, but Yahweh saw and heard, but Yahweh is going to act Listen to him. I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain quarter every day. This is instruction. When every word of Yahweh is law, every word of Yahweh is command. So it has to be obeyed as it is. When Yahweh issued this instruction to feed them, to help them sort out their hunger and all that, did you know that while they were jollificating and gathering all those, they disobeyed Yahweh even in this instruction? They broke the Sabbath. This is where Sabbath is seen as test commandments. On the Sabbath, they don't work. Going out to labor or to get food or get wherewithal from the farm on the Sabbath, bring it home and begin to prepare and all that, it's labor. Yahweh said you do it on the preparation day, Friday, before the Sabbath sets in. But they didn't obey. So don't go into the field on that day to seek manna, to seek the food. Don't go. But they rebelled. Let's continue. That I may test them. Yahweh says that he will use this to test them. Now, this verse 4 is a test commandment. And the people shall go out and gather a certain quarter every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not. Verse 5, and it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in. 6th day is Friday. It's day of preparation before the sunset, before the arrival of Sabbath, because Sabbath starts sunset. And it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. So on Friday, when they get there, they will collect twice of what they were collecting before. So that one will be on that Friday and the other one will be on the Sabbath day, which is Saturday. They needed to rest. Nobody should go out to fend for food or look for anything. Then Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, at evening you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of Yahweh, for he hears your complaints against Yahweh. You see, Moses said, this complaint you are making is against Yahweh, not against him, against Yahweh. But what are we that you complain against us? Also, Moses said, this shall be seen when Yahweh gives you meat to eat in the morning, in the evening, and in the morning, bread to the food. For Yahweh hears your complaints which you make against him. And what are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against Yahweh. We must be very, very careful what we say, what we speak. Otherwise, we'll be offending Yahweh, and the person will be judged according to his tongue, according to his word. That is number 3. They sinned there. Moses pointed it out. You have sinned. Number 4, collecting more manna than they were instructed. Exodus 16, verse 20. Let's look at it. Exodus 16, verse 20. Notwithstanding, they did not heed Moses, but some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moses was angry with them. What happened? When they went into the field, they gathered more than they were able to eat. Collect as you can eat, you and your family. But they were collecting excess. And when they brought them, they could not finish them. By the time in the morning, everywhere was smelling. Because when that bread lasts the following day, it will be stinking, it will be smelling. That was offense. That was disobedience. They didn't heed to the instruction. It must be to the instruction of Yahweh. Number 5, they attempted to collect manna on the Sabbath day. Exodus 16, 27 to 29. Now you can see where now they break that law. Yahweh said he's going to test them. he gave them this command, do not come out on the Sabbath day. It was a command. Yahweh said he gave it to them to test whether this command, this Sabbath commandment will be kept by these people. Did they keep it? Exodus 16, 27, 28. Now, it happened that that same of the people went out on the seventh day, which is Sabbath, to gather, but they found none. Yahweh cannot behave like them to allow the manna to fall on that day, because he told them, you will not see anything on that day. And Yahweh said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? How long? How long? See, for Yahweh has given you the Sabbath. Therefore, he gives you on the sixth day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day. So 7 days is our day to rest. Why are you doing some other things on the seventh day, saying grace, 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 grace? Yahweh will deal with the person. Because it's Yahweh, he doesn't change. His word doesn't change. The old covenant remains the same. The new covenant remains the same. Nothing was taken away except Yeshua that came to remove the animal sacrifice. So when he returns, he will reinstate or restore sacrifice. But meantime, Yeshua is our high priest. And he has paid the price, the penalty of our sin via his blood and his life. Because it was the life of animal, the blood of animal, they were taken to, substitute themselves or to bear themselves out of sin. They were not bearing the scripture said animals we are not saving, has no power to save, but it was just if it's to camp temperature or so that they will not be destroyed. Everything lied low until Yeshua came. So when Yeshua came, it was put aside. Yeshua took over, the mediator of the renewed covenant, and he died for us. And Yahweh said, Yeshua having accomplished this task, he is now our high priest. He is now our mediator, high priest of the new or the renewed covenant. Nobody should go into the sacrifice again. Nobody. Hebrews chapter 1 and 2 taught about this clearly. Particularly chapter 1 spelled it out. Don't try it. Don't try Yahweh. Don't try Yahweh. Now let's go on. Number 6. Complaining over the lack of water at Rephidim. There is an issue of water come out again. Exodus chapter 17. Let's look at 17, 2 and 3. But let's take it from verse 1. Exodus 17. 1 to 3. Then all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandments of Yahweh, and camped in Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore, the people contended with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. So Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? It wasn't, this contention was provocation. It was a challenge and a word of ruffling with Moses and Aaron, particularly Moses. Just like trying Moses, putting him to on the fall for him to fall or to cause problem. Why do you tempt Yahweh? You see, he's telling them here what you are doing is, again, tempting Yahweh, testing Yahweh, trying Yahweh, provoking Yahweh. Verse 3. And the people tested there for water, and the people complained against Moses and said, why is it you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? So what did Moses do? Verse 4. So Moses cried out to Yahweh, saying, what shall I do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me. Verse 5. And Yahweh said to Moses, go on before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel. Also take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock. Shall strike the rock. See what these people are pushing Moses to do. Listen very well. And water will come out of it. Yahweh gave Moses here a command: strike the rock. And when, you will, so let me take that 6 again. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water will come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So he called the name of the place Massa and Meribah, because of the contention of the people, of the children of Israel, and because they tempted Yahweh, saying, is Yahweh among us or not? Now, here, all this provocation was leading. Just watch what is going on. The leader is in trouble. Brethren, let us be very careful. As you save yourself, help your leader. Help those that Yahweh assigned to do his work. Don't drag them to their death. Don't cause them to fall away. Your word, your action, your behavior, your temptation, you are testing them, you are pushing them, may cause them to do what they didn't want to do. It's bad. The same issue of water brought Moses to problem. After this, we will hear a place where these people also spoke in the same language, tested and contended with Moses. And Moses missed the instruction that Yahweh gave. Instead of speaking to the rock, he struck the rock. Here, Yahweh says, struck the rock. In some other place, Yahweh will say, Moses, speak to the rock. The word of Yahweh is definitive. You must follow it line by line as he stated it. Don't correct him. Don't add, don't subtract. That is what is happening in Christianity and what is called religions of the world today. And it's a problem. People that does that will not survive it. Now, after the water, something happened. A terrible sin was committed. Number 7 of their sin. Engaging in idolatry in the golden calf incident. Exodus 32, 7 to 11, 7 to 10. Exodus 32. Let's go all the way to Exodus 32. Exodus 32. See how Yahweh was numbering and counting their misbehavior, their sins. Verse 7, 32, verse 7. And Yahweh said to Moses, go get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way, which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf and worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, this is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. Now, these people, you can see that the God they made here wasn't by accident. It's in them. It has been following them. Satan has been following them. And that's why they were misbehaving. That's why they were never rooting for Yahweh and following Yahweh's instruction. They were always chasing shadows. Who were they obeying? Satan. So they prepared an image for Satan. And they say it's a God. And unfortunately, this God they prepared for themselves, they called Yahweh. So here they were trying to replace Yahweh with this their God, with this calf. To them, Satan will say, they've had enough of Yahweh that is following them or taking them. that he now want to take over. And this is where now their crisis began in earnest for destruction. If Yahweh would have spared them, here was where they hit, they break the camel's head. Verse 9, and Yahweh said to Moses, I have seen this people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people. These people are stiff-necked. Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. Once again, Moses stepped in. Then Moses pleaded with Yahweh, his father, and said, Yahweh, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak and say, he brought them out of the land of out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from this harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self, and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So Yahweh relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mountain, and the 2 tablets of this testimony, that is the 10 commandments, were in his hand. The tablets were written on both sides, on the one side and on the other side they were written. Now the tablets were the work of Yahweh himself, and the writing was the writing of Yahweh engraved on the tablets. Listen, brethren, this tablet that Moses had in his hand were the work of Yahweh, were the Yahweh engraved with his hand, and he wrote it on a stone. Why? Durability, so that it's something that is everlasting, cannot be raised. So the law of Yahweh is broken, is cancelled, is removed, is done that and that and that. Who destroyed it? Who removed it? Who cancelled it? Yahweh did it himself. How can Yahweh? If Yahweh take away one word out of he will let his people know, and he'll find a way to rewrite it. Or even when Moses break these 2 tablets, at the end of the day, Moses went back and Yahweh rewrite everything and handed it back to him again. Now, this sin, Yahweh was wrought. Sin of the calf, sin of making God. The God they are worshiping today didn't start today. So all the way from Nimrod, Abraham knew about it. His children went to Egypt in the wilderness because they practiced worship of God in Egypt. Egypt practiced it. And they wanted to showcase. Satan said, it's time for you to display this, your God you are worshiping again. Oh, display it, so that you bring Yahweh into wrath, anger. Yahweh doesn't like somebody competing or contesting or showing him or ordering his commands. The people will pay the price. Did the people pay the price? Moses pleaded for them. Yahweh listened to Moses, but the people were still judged at the end of the day, because that which Yahweh said, that all the people who had been provoking him all this long, none of them will enter the kingdom. So Yahweh noted this sin here. But let's continue. Number 8. Number 8 sin. Complaining at Tereba or Tabera. Numbers. Let's go to the book of Numbers. Numbers chapter 11, verse 1 and 2. Numbers 11, 1 and 2. Now, when the people complained, it displeased Yahweh. For Yahweh heard it, and his anger was aroused. So the fire of Yahweh burned among them and consumed some in the outskirts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and when Moses prayed to Yahweh, the fire was quenched. So he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh had burned among them. So these people had incessant appetite, incessant crave for violence, for disruption, for contention. Verse 4. Now the mixed multitude who were among them yielded to intense craving. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate freely in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. But now our whole being is dried up. There is nothing at all except this manna before our eyes. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its color like the color of bedlam. No, it's complaining and complaining and complaining and reporting and making noise, contending and testing and trying Yahweh in the wilderness. And in this Taberah, where the people never stopped. The golden calf issue didn't teach them a lesson, but here they did the more. They opened their mouth wide and spoke all those words which Yahweh forbid. What would they have done? They would have said to Moses, please lift prayer to Yahweh so that we will get certain things, or whatever. And Yahweh will do it for them. Did Yahweh realize or know or understand that these people need all the... Yahweh understands. They were complaining about food here, different things they love to eat when they were in Egypt. Yahweh understands. Yahweh knew all those. But the thing is, Yahweh was seeking. The scripture said that Yahweh waited on these people to see what they will do. Yahweh also was testing them. Yahweh was testing them. So if the food hasn't come, does it mean that Yahweh is withholding it or not? No. Yahweh is looking at you, what you will do. When you don't have anything, what do? You go to him. We are created to depend on Yahweh. We are created to trust Yahweh. We are created to have faith in Yahweh so that we obtain whatever we get, whether it's water, whether it's food, whether it's health, whether it's life, all are coming from him, not from us, so that we continue to give him glory and honor. That's the reason he created us, to give him praise, to worship him, to give him honor and glory due unto him. And the people were not doing what Yahweh wanted them to do. The reason he created them, they were not doing it. So they had problems. Now, number 9, that was food also that transpired, which we just read. Number 10, sin. Failing to trust Yahweh and enter the promised land. Here, it was total failure. Total failure. And let's look at Exodus number 14. Exodus chapter 14, 1-4. So all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel complained against Moses, and we are not learning any lesson at all. They complained against Moses and Aaron, and the whole congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Egypt. They keep on repeating the same message. Or if only we had died in this wilderness. Why has Yahweh brought us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should become victims? Would it not be better for us to return to Egypt? They attempted to return to Egypt. Out there when they made the calf, Exodus 32, they wanted to return back. They made a calf. Here, the message and the thought, Satan was sending it unto them again. And because they were rebels that followed them, the Egyptians and some of the Israelites that led their lifestyle, who were worshiping the god of or gods of Egypt, They were the people that were instrumental to steering these people to do what they were doing. Satan was using them. Now, verse 5. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. But Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their clothes, and they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, the land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land. He will bring us into this land, that's Yahweh will bring them, and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against Yahweh, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has departed from them, and Yahweh is with us. Do not fear them. And all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Now, the glory of Yahweh appeared as they were doing this in the tabernacle of meeting before all the children of Israel. Then Yahweh said to Moses, how long will these people reject me? And how long will they not believe me with all the signs which I have performed among them? I will strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of you a nation greater and mightier than they. And Moses said to Yahweh, then the Egyptians will hear it, for by your might you brought these people up out from the land of Egypt, and they will tell it to the inhabitants of this land. They have heard that you, Yahweh, are among these people, that you, Yahweh, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands above them, and you go before them in a pillar of cloud by day and in a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill these people as one man, then the nations which have heard of your fame will speak, saying, because Yahweh was not able to bring these people to the land which he swore to give them, therefore he killed them in the wilderness. And now I pray thee, Yahweh, let the power of my father Yahweh be great, just as you have spoken, saying, Yahweh is long-suffering and abundant in mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he by no means clears the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers of the children to the third and the fourth generation. Pardon the iniquity of the people, I pray, according to the greatness of your mercy, just as you have forgiven these people from Egypt even until now. Then Yahweh said, I have pardoned according to your word, but truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yahweh. Yahweh took notice of Moses' prayer. Yahweh took notice of what these people have been doing all this while. Yahweh had concluded that these people are stiff-necked people. They cannot be saved. Yahweh concluded they cannot be saved. And along the line, Yahweh vowed that all the people who came out from 20 years and above into that land, they will not smell the land. But the children that were born in the wilderness, going forward, they are the people. Those are children that are saying, oh, the children who is going to perish in the wilderness, they are going to die of hunger, of this, of that. So those children will leave. They were born in the wilderness. They are going to leave. From that wilderness, they will enter the land. And the parents will perish. The older people will go. That's how they were wiped out in the wilderness. None of them. And these people, their everyday temptation, everyday trial, everyday provocation caused Moses to sin. And Moses did what he didn't want to do. And he provoked Yahweh. And Yahweh swore that even you, Moses, you will not enter the land. Brethren, let's hold it here. Next week, we continue, we wrap it up. Because the latter part of it is more painful. Now, these people never learned any lesson at all. As it is today, the same thing is going on today. even those who keep Sabbath, even those who supposed to follow this instruction are doing their own thing, their own way. And Yahweh says, a day has been marked and mapped out for judgment to come. In these latter days, judgment will ensue. Will you escape? Only those that obey, only those that listen, only those that said, I will not continue this way of the world, this way of Satan's deception. I will not continue. I will not listen to Yahweh. I will follow Yahweh. Having been baptized in the name of Yeshua, follow his instruction, follow the commandments of Yahweh. And when the trumpet will sound, when Yahweh will be counting those who are obedient into his kingdom, you will be part of it. You will enter the kingdom. May this be our portion. May Yahweh have mercy upon us and continue to empower us with his spirit so that his spirit will continue to direct us to the end. In Yeshua's name.